This week, we are highlighting Swedish startup called Stegra, formerly known as H2 Green Steel. Now, Stegra is moving ahead with one of Europe's largest industrial decarbonisation projects, announcing plans to raise nearly €1 billion to complete construction of its hydrogen-powered steel plant in Boden, northern Sweden. The raise represents about 15% of the project's total funding needs and comes amid rising investor interest in low-carbon heavy industries. Steel production is one of the world's carbon-intensive sectors, responsible for roughly 7 to 8% of global CO2 emissions. Traditional blast furnace methods rely on coal to remove oxygen from iron ore. Stegra's process replaces coal with renewable hydrogen, enabling a potential 95% emissions reduction compared with conventional production. Now, if delivered at scale, this would mark a decisive shift for a sector long viewed as hard to abate. According to CEO Henrik Eriksson, existing backers have reaffirmed commitments, while the new round blends equity, debt, outsourcing arrangements, and strategic partnerships. The proceeds will cover higher than expected project costs, provide a liquidity buffer, and fund additional infrastructure Stegra has chosen to bring in-house, including railway connections and port facilities that were initially slated for external financing. The company said about 60% of the project has been completed, with an updated timeline adding 3 months to accommodate the expanded scope. Construction is scheduled to reach completion once the round closes and the new infrastructure is integrated. Stegra's process is being watched closely by European policymakers and investors as a test case for industrial-scale hydrogen deployment. A successful launch would not only validate hydrogen's commercial viability in steelmaking, but could also influence future EU and national funding priorities, especially as the bloc faces competitive pressure from the US Inflation Reduction Act and China's subsidized green materials markets. The financing round also highlights the cost realities of early-stage industrial decarbonization. Even with regulatory approval for state aid from the European Commission, some promised grants have not yet materialized, forcing Stegra to self-fund portions of the work. Now, that underscores a broader challenge, ensuring that capital deployment keeps pace with ambitious emission reduction targets. If the Boden plant reaches full operation, it could produce 5 million tons of net zero carbon steel annually, serving automakers and construction firms seeking to cut supply chain emissions. The plant's success would strengthen the business case for green steel globally.